Hello, Jonny Long here with another advert for you. Now just be thankful I'm not trying to sell you ketones or subscriptions to some mental health app. Anyway, the reason I'm not here selling you any of that stuff is because I've got something much better and much cheaper, which actually helps us keep those sorts of ads at bay. We're running our $1 promotion again during this Tour de France, which means you can sign up for just $1 or £1 or €1 and access all of our articles and member-only podcasts for a month. Support independent cycling journalism. Ensure these are the only sorts of ads you hear on our podcast or see on our site. Join the movement in this little corner of the internet. Come on. You're presumably listening to this podcast of your own free will, maybe even enjoying it. Let's dare to hope. I understand if you've been on the fence about signing up for yet another subscription. So what we're trying to do is tease you into it, lure you, and once you're in and you're all warm and nice, you'll never want to leave. That's the name of this capitalist game. Don't resist it. Come on home. So visit escapecollective.com/TDF to take up this special limited time offer. $1, escapecollective.com/TDF. What else can you actually buy for $1 these days? With inflation, that dollar is just going to keep becoming worth less and less. So you might as well spend it now.
Welcome back to the Escape Collective Tour Daily Podcast, everybody. I'm Caley Fretz. Wow, that was a good stage. That was a very, very good stage. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I guess we're over the valley from Saint-Lary-Solon and Plat d'Aix, where the stage finished today. Tadej Pogačar took the stage victory. He dropped Jonas Vingegaard. This is a big deal. We're going to talk about how, why, what they said. Joining me, Iain Trelaw.
Hello, friends.
And Jonny Long.
I've never heard you made the noise you just made at the start there before.
What noise was that? Wow! That's not a noise. That's not a natural noise. Let's be honest.
Would that be your DS car noise if you were on Netflix or something?
Oh, maybe.
Big American sportscaster vibes.
Wowee! Boy, howdy.
Great race.
Boy,
great stage. We actually got to see it. We got to see...
We saw it in person.
We got to see
with our
more than the
eyeballs.
other side of a finish line. For
We
the
saw it
first
with our own
time,
eyeballs.
maybe this race? I can't remember seeing much race.
It was pretty good. We had like a little natural amphitheater kind of situation going on. We caught a gondola up to the top
That
from
was
our
fun.
press room, which wasn't a sweat box.
It's not our
A
press room.
telecabine.
A telecabine, which I've learned a word today. And we could look down and we could see probably 3 or 4 kilometers, and certainly almost all of the last kilometer. So we saw Tadej Pogačar climbing up.
Past.
And the fun thing is that the delay in the broadcast means that you don't actually know what's happening, and then suddenly they're there.
That's
And
crazy.
Pretty cool.
The other cool thing was then when Jonas Vingegaard came past after Pogačar was we saw Vingegaard like 500 meters, Tadej Pogačar was like maybe 150 meters. There's a massive big screen of the television. Why can't I remember what it is? The televised racing.
The
For
big
the
screen.
fans.
The big screen for the
Huge,
fans.
huge old
Jesus
screen.
Christ. And Vingegaard actually looked up to check where Pogačar was, I think, or just to do
check the time gap.
like how you see you see it in football, you see like Cristiano Ronaldo like checking himself out on the camera. But this was this was a very different vibe because it was Vingegaard being like, okay, how far am I actually behind here?
yeah.
You know.
Well, I think we'll get into sort of the tactics and some of the team stuff in a bit. But Iain, you went down to Visma. What did you see? What was the vibe down there? I mean, was it defeatist? Was it optimistic? What was the scene?
Compared to some earlier stages, I feel that I mean, it's hard to say whether they were just really tired, because it would be fair enough to be really tired after today's stage. But on an earlier stage when I was hanging out at the Visma bus, they were sort of joking around a little bit and they were facing out with their bikes. And this time they were quite insular, facing inwards. Vingegaard was cooling down on his bike.
That'd be interesting. We should stand there and see if they turn the trainers around, if they win or lose.
Yeah. There's probably an article in that, the psychology of which way you put your trainer.
Yeah.
The other day, who packed it away? Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe. They had a trainer out ready and then they realised they weren't going to need it anymore. That should have been when we knew Roglic was
He's not even going to cool down.
No.
Yeah.
Straight onto the bus for a shower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As well, what else did you see?
So Vingegaard was cooling down, and instead of looking around or anything, he was just kind of pretty glazed. There was maybe 30 seconds where he was just staring at a point on the road. And I was trying to figure out what it was. Might have been a strap of a backpack or something, but he was really, really either focused on that or just off in his head somewhere else. And slowly people started trickling in. Matteo Jorgensen was Jorgensen. That's really confusing.
It is, because we've got a hard J there and a Jonas.
And a Jose Bain.
Yeah.
J, the most confusing
Can
letter.
I become Jonny?
You are Jonny. Jonny.
It'd be great if the Spanish reporters started calling you Jonny.
Yeah, instead of Mickey Mouse. You guys found out about that today.
It was great.
We'll get into that in After Dark.
Yeah. So Matteo Jorgensen came along and was trying to cheer him up, I think. But it wasn't really working. Jonas was still off in his own little world. And then some other directors sportifs arrived. Directors sportif.
Yeah, I think that's like Tours de France. Yeah.
Just fact-checking myself in real time. Christian Niemann showed up, and instead of calling anyone a fucking motorbike, he just sort of went and muttered soft nothings in Jonas's ear.
Vespa.
Quite refreshing.
That was rude. Jonas Vingegaard is a very good bike
Rude
racer.
to Visma and rude to Iain for interrupting.
That's true.
Yeah, no,
Sorry.
they're incredible.
Yeah, they were all very softly spoken. They were not giving away any real hints to anybody because they were facing towards the bus away from us. So yeah, I would say that it was a fairly subdued vibe. And then Christian Niemann spoke to the media afterwards, and he basically said that he got asked whether he was expecting Tadej Pogačar to be that good, and his response was more or less that we hoped he wouldn't be.
Yep.
But he was.
Yeah, because it sounds like Vingegaard had a pretty good day. That, he put out good numbers. He wasn't disappointed on that front. But Pogačar was just better today, and the team was much better. And I think as we get into the sort of the tactics here, and not even really tactics. So yesterday, Pogačar said it's not tactics, it's legs. Right? He was like, you either have the legs or you don't. And I'm a strong adherent to that. And I think specifically, you can make up for bad tactics with good legs.
Yeah.
You cannot make up for bad legs with good tactics. It just doesn't work like that on these mountains, right? Like, you either can keep up or you can't. There's not that much draft effect. A teammate is, yes, it's helpful, but actually not that helpful. Like, they're not going quite fast enough to get enough draft to have a teammate be that crucial. That said, it's not a bad thing to have a teammate around. It's certainly not a bad thing to send him up the road in the way that UAE did with Adam Yates today, and have essentially like a springboard halfway up, or I think the analogy I used in the story I'm currently writing is like a little lily pad that you jump onto like a frog, and then continue onwards. That's still not a bad thing, right? I mean, the fact that Pogačar got to sort of jump across to Yates, take a bit of a breather, as he said.
Yeah.
Because Yates was still going full gas, but Pogačar is a better climber. So Pogačar takes a little bit of a breather. You saw that the gap kind of stabilize during that period. In fact, it even closed a little bit. But that then set Pogačar sort of alight again, and he was able to take a pretty significant margin at the end of the day. Now, that decision to send Yates up the road, if we are to believe both Yates and Pogačar, and they hadn't talked to each other yet, so I believe this story, was not pre-planned. It was an in-the-moment, just a decision that Pogačar
An audible, you may call it.
Yeah, basically called an audible. And Pogačar rode up to Yates, and he had to yell. He was talking about this in the press conference, how it's so loud, and you're working so hard, because they're on the limit, right? That you have to yell to the guy that you're trying to communicate with, and yelled to Yates, you should attack.
They should just have a little button system where you can have 4 pre-recorded things, and you just press one of them, and then it says what
it goes into the radios.
Yeah, because there's only so many things you're going to need to say, go,
stop,
come back,
Food, water,
mechanical food. Yeah.
That's not a bad idea. Anyway,
maybe we can present that to them tomorrow.
Marginal gains, right?
Pre-Tour de France conference. Anyone?
Ooh, a little sports science conference. So Yates goes, and this is from Yates himself, He goes, "What are you on about?"
What, to Pogačar?
That's just what he says. What are you on about? He's like, wait, what? You want me to attack right now? And yes, Pogačar did want him to attack right then. I think Pogačar probably felt good. He maybe sensed a bit of weakness in Vingegaard. At the very least, he wanted to test him. And so that's what they did. Yates went up the road. Didn't get a massive gap, but had a bit of a gap there. And Pogačar was able to use him for a bit on the way across. Now, in previous years, we probably wouldn't have seen an isolated Jonas Vingegaard, and that's where the tactics does really make a difference. Is if to put it bluntly, like if Sepp Kuss was here,
Eagle of Durango,
the Eagle of Durango,
hometown hero,
does that stage play out exactly the same? I still think Pogačar takes time, but it's probably less.
Not as much because maybe Kuss follows Yates a bit, which would have been weird. How do they cooperate? Do they keep going? Or at least Kuss can, I don't know, do something, It's a psychological thing as well, because once you see Adam Yates go off the front and there's no one there to chase, you're then just thinking, well, Pogačar's probably going to go soon. And so you're thinking that, you're like, he must be feeling really, really good. So then that all plays into it, we saw it in the Netflix series. The whole thing is some sort of psychological battle as well as on the road, because they're so tightly matched, There's still only 2 minutes, despite the fact that, as you were saying at dinner, actually, and it's remarkable that Vingegaard's even this close to Pogačar, despite the injuries, despite everything.
Yeah,
and that Pogačar's been taking the race to him at every possible opportunity.
Yeah, and Vingegaard is also down a number of key people that would have been in his Tour de France team, 4 riders. So they're kind of...
Yeah. They're doing it on hard mode, basically. At the hardest possible mode. And Vingegaard's still pretty close. And there's still a lot of racing to come.
It's still a whole week.
A huge amount of racing to come. And there's that final time trial, which, the last evidence... Well, we had the evidence of this year, but...
Yeah, but it's a harder TT than that first one.
Yeah.
The climb is bigger. It's more like the TT last year that Vingegaard was really good
at. So, a Pogačar buffer, I think, keeps the race more alive than if they were either much closer or Vingegaard has a lead.
I would agree with that.
And for overarching narratives, maybe we need Pogačar to win this one. For the rivalry to continue to be a rivalry. I mean,
you mentioned this at dinner. We were just having dinner here, and you said that, and I think you're kind of right in that, like, first of all, cycling loves a lovable loser, right? So, like Roglic is a perfect example, or Pogačar even. They become more beloved once they've lost, and Vingegaard hasn't lost yet. And I genuinely think that from like a PR perspective, losing the bike race is actually a good thing. I don't think he'll lose the bike race on purpose just for that reason, but
no, I don't think he cares about that. Really.
Doesn't care about that at all. But it is true. I think that the fan base tends to look kindly upon the valiant but not successful champion.
Of course,
basically. I would agree with it.
The other thing to say from the stage was that there were crisps or potato chips, that you might call them, thrown at Pogačar's face, quite far up the climb, which you don't want to see. It's kind of a dick move.
There was also
crisps on someone's face.
Yeah, I mean, no, not good. Faux pas. But there was equal opportunity crisp throwing because Vingegaard also caught.
Did he get them as well? I haven't seen that video.
Yeah, no, it was both. The same perpetrator.
The same person had different packets of crisps. That's a weird thing to pre-plan.
Different packets of crisps. I don't know if
it just shook it.
Could have just been a handful.
So he's eaten none of those crisps basically and just chucked them all over.
No, I think it was probably. I mean, I would have eaten the whole bag, but it was
We've been absolutely demolishing crisps this tour. It's been quite.
I have been through 4 cans of Pringles.
It's like you're trying to build that tunnel, Caley, Iain, that me and Caley came through from Italy to get to France. Full respect.
Yeah, thank you.
I support you in your endeavour.
I do what I can with my reconstituted potato product.
Well, the crisp thrower, hope he's brought to swift justice, like we have been seeing fans do, where they're caught and then forced to have like terrorist hostage videos back to the family. There have been, I've seen other videos of fans who are running the road and being dicks, like getting like sort of wrestler WWE tossed off the road. There was one that came out today, I think it must have been posted in Discord, that shows one fan grabbing another fan and just like wiggling him around and chucking him into like a grassy verge.
As it should be.
Really good, yeah.
Yeah.
Although high margin for error, because often the roads are on the side of quite big drops. So somebody could just get like chucked down a mountain.
Okay, check first.
Check your surrounds before you throw
later.
fans around. And
Yeah.
also, we do not condone throwing crisps.
We
at
don't
riders.
condone throwing crisps. We do condone throwing fans running alongside riders.
Oh no, I was actually going to say that if you are going to, don't throw anything. To be
Okay.
very clear on that.
Literally anything.
Literally anything.
Okay.
But like,
But
What
if
about
I
your
was-
hands up?
Put your hands up in the air.
Okay.
But
Throw
if
'em
I
up.
was a rider in the Tour de France,
Yeah.
I would be happier to get some chips in the face
Okay.
than a glass of piss.
Sounds like you're condoning
Or a
crisps.
I'm not. I'm just saying that there are some evils that are lesser than others.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think either are good.
We don't have to make these choices, Ian. We can just say no to it.
They can all be in the bad pile.
Okay,
Yeah.
Because I don't.
I'm all right with that.
People running alongside.
I just like chips, you know.
We know. People running alongside, if they're at a bit of a distance, like, and they're not right on top, sometimes they're right on top of them and it's bad. But so I don't mind the running alongside sometimes if it's done in a kind of safe way. But
Well, the running behind is a more acceptable.
yes,
But still not good.
not good, but I'm happy if it's running behind plus toss off the road.
Yeah, that's great. Because
Then
then we
that's
get a
a-
little bit of entertainment.
That's
out of it.
double. That's double. That's yeah. That's double win. Glad we settled that.
To return to the bicycle race.
So this was all bike race talk.
Yeah.
Sort of. Ian, you mentioned that Visma is sort of without a bunch of key team members here. Is there anything we think they could have done? I mean, we actually missed the beginning of the stage, but from reports I hear, Wout van Aert tried to get in a breakaway today, which is what they did a couple times in the last two Tours de France, where they would stick Wout in the break.
That was fun, wasn't it?
He would do
Remember
crazy
that?
Wout stuff, and he would like be there in the moment somehow. I mean, like think about like back to the Grenell,
He'd be
right?
like one of the last breakaway riders up
Yeah,
there.
he'd be like one of the last breakaway riders, and then Vingegaard would catch him and use him for a bit to get up the road. They could have maybe been successful in that. Wout doesn't seem to have the form he's had in previous tours.
Well,
Maybe he
he's-
couldn't actually do that.
He is also coming back from serious injury.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
And he's got the Olympics coming up.
UAE was I guess quite clear in that they weren't going to let that happen. Right. So like one of the other sort of tactical things here is not just the Yates bit at the end, which was very sort of visible and obvious, but also who do you let in the break, and you don't let Visma in the break, which they did in the last couple of years, and they paid for it. Like again, particularly in that Grenell stage.
But now they've got a Nils Pollitt who
Just
is having a great tour.
did you hear how Pogačar described that?
No.
He was just describing Pollitt and basically saying that like he just sat on the front and did his tempo. And his tempo was basically for like 2 hours, just enough to keep the break to. I never really extended past about 5 minutes. I think today, 5-6 minutes.
Couldn't tell you, but I mean, Pollitt's just one of those guys that
He's got so many watts.
those Grand Tour winning teams always have like a Kuss guy and a Pollitt guy. Like you need those two. You have to pay them a lot of money, but they are worth everything because often it's like the
they
difference.
solve
between-
problems.
Well, they solve problems, and also it's having those guys that you can rely on, which just probably reduces your stress day in day out because they're just so dependable. Like Adam Yates, next to Sepp Kuss, is probably that level of the club of two.
Yep.
Of the only people who can do that, and there would be leaders on other teams, like a better version of Mikel
Has been a leader
Landa.
on other teams.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it affords you sort of tactical options, but I guess I don't want to overstate Yates's role today, right? Like it was a very obvious
fair.
tactical play, and it was definitely helpful. You know, if I had to estimate, I'd say it bought him 10 seconds or something, which is 10 seconds. It was a quarter of the time that he ended up getting, but it's still, fundamentally it came down to legs, right? And by that I mean it came down to Pogačar's legs versus Vingegaard's legs, but it also came down to the legs of all of their teammates and the fact that Vingegaard had to chase by himself. Matteo Jorgensen is doing a phenomenal job in this Tour de France at the job he was
He's
prescribed
finishing
to
with
do.
other GC riders.
Yeah, like
is insane.
his job was never to be Sepp Kuss because he is not Sepp Kuss. His job was never to be the Adam Yates figure because he's not Adam Yates. He's like 15 kilos heavier. He's doing an incredible job, all things considered, because he was also there on like the gravel stage, right? Like Kuss isn't helping on that day. So
if Pogačar and Vingegaard weren't here, he'd be a real contender for a Tour de France podium at this tour because he wouldn't have been able to lose time. He would have raced his own race.
Yeah.
It's back to Kuss and Yates quickly. I reckon that sort of job and role and pay packet in the World Tour is probably the optimum, because you get paid well, you're really good, you're very valuable, but you don't have the pressure of being the guy who has to win. You know, you do an amazing effort, you're there when everyone's watching on TV, but then you hand over to the main guy. Like, imagine just doing the really good job and being there, and then Pogačar's probably going to win it anyway. So then you're just like, I'm great.
I mean, it's way less stressful.
So much less
but
stressful.
It's why we've also seen riders go from that role into the leadership role and perform worse.
Like Landa.
Yeah, like we've seen riders literally like they'll finish at a top 15 or so as a domestique, and they can barely do that as a GC contender with all the support that they get.
Or even top 10 sometimes.
Yeah, it's a totally different thing, and the stress is huge. And actually, Pogačar mentioned that in his press conference today. Is that I think it wasn't Whittle, it was one of the other
Walsh, maybe.
Walsh might have asked the question. Yeah, like what sort of how have you improved year over year? And I think the number was partly about like watts and numbers and things, but Pogačar kind of went in a slightly different direction. He said, you know, I've just gotten better at all the other stuff. Like I've gotten better at the stress and sort of like knowing how to deal with the Tour de France.
It's just maturity, isn't it?
Yeah,
really?
and just general maturity.
Going through the motions, not in a bad way, but just like knowing that this is what happens. This year we've had some really thoughtful answers, do you think?
Yeah, it's his English is just getting better and better. And I remember saying in the pre-tour, I think it was in our preview episode, because his pre-race press conference was more nervous and stilted than we have seen in quite some time from him, even when he switched into Slovenian, which I thought was really quite interesting. There was still lots of ums and ahs and pauses, and you know, I couldn't understand what he was saying, but you can get the body language and the tonal language out of it. Anyway, and that has shifted. Today, that shifted. In fact, I would say that today is the first time we saw a fully confident Pogačar in a press conference. We've had a bunch of press conferences with him. Obviously, we get him every single day because he has the yellow jersey. He was asked in the press con whether today felt like revenge, and he said, "I don't know, not revenge. For sure, not revenge.
Maybe payback."
He said, "It's cycling. It's not war or anything. It's cycling. It's a game we play. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But today, for me, this was a big win." It's a great quote. It's also a very confident rider to sort of step back and be like, "Hey, we're just playing a game. I had a good time today. we did a good job."
But then Vingegaard has been saying similar things as well, but from the perspective of someone who had that serious crash and was like worried for his life a bit.
Yeah.
And that's probably quite healthy. It's nice that they can have that perspective on bike racing, but then also we've seen a bit of fighting talk in the last week come through as well, which is perfect. I want a bit of both. I want perspective and fighting talk.
Would you say that both of them are understanding the assignment better than previous years? If you had to hand out a Jonathan Vaughters Understand the Assignment award to Vingegaard or Pogačar,
I think
who would you hand it
Vingegaard has
to?
been much better. I think
Vingegaard has.
he's been a lot more personable, because it's not even just the words you say, it's how you say it. Like when you're standing there and there's like giving more of a smile and that. I think he's also, because he's won twice now, and he's like, well, the thing is like the expectation is lower. He can kind of be like, I'm here trying. Okay, I'm trying.
Yeah. Well, the pressure, like he said right at the start, just being here is a victory.
And I think even if he does crack Pogačar as he has before and win this Tour de France, I still think we'll get a bit of that narrative change where he becomes more likable and personable in the eyes of fans, because he's at least overcome some adversity. Yep. Not some, lot of adversity, but I mean in terms of the bike race, being like 2 minutes down and getting dropped quite a few times, which he's not used to getting dropped by Pogačar really like this. Maybe a bit, but not like consecutively.
Well, that comes back to what Iain was saying about his sort of what he noticed at the bus today. Like, you know, it's not a happy place, right? Like, we were talking about this on the gondola on the way down, the telecabine. Like, I think anybody out there who rides bikes regularly, you know, we've all been dropped by friends at some point. Like, you're on a group ride, you get dropped. It sucks, right? Like, it's like, it really sucks, and it's part of the reason why you go out and you try to train harder and you try to keep up with your buddies, and people buy new stuff and they do all the things, and because getting dropped sucks, and can you just imagine for a second getting dropped in front of the world, right? And then being asked to to talk about
Being
it.
asked dumb
it's-
questions, like everyone asks
Yeah.
kind of dumb questions.
I mean, you have to have a huge amount of empathy for either of them, and I think honestly, I think that's a big part of the reason why we like the rider that gets beat, right? Because I think that in just inherently, I think cycling fans in particular, and again, anybody who sort of rides a bike, or even if you don't, you get that, like you just get what that feeling is, and it gives you empathy for that rider, and it sort of builds, it almost builds their profile to lose the thing. So I do think that like, let's not say that this Tour de France is done. There's a week to go. We have literally just entered the mountains today.
Mm-hmm.
Things could switch.
There's a bigger one tomorrow.
Bigger one tomorrow. Plateau de Bay tomorrow. But if things were to continue on the current trajectory, I think that's the one thing that Jonas has to look forward to, is probably a more favorable profile with bike fans.
The other thing that could potentially scupper Pogačar, and I don't want to dwell on it, or I'm going to touch wood. Where's wood? Here we are on the floor. COVID.
He had it in June.
Oh, so he's done.
He's fine.
Ah.
He had
Even
it.
though Juan Ayuso
Yeah.
dropped out. Not conspiracy hats on.
Yep.
Not based in fact, what I'm about to say. Good vibes at the UAE bus today.
Yeah.
Almeida and Yates. Big happy family. Congratulating each other.
Machine gave him a big kiss.
Machin, big kiss. Stopped his interview. He's like, sorry, I just need to go do this.
Need to go give
Big
a big
old
kiss.
sloppy kiss. And then came back and was like wiping, like he's just had a delicious big meal, like Bruce Bogtrotter and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the chocolate cake, wiping all the sweat off that he'd just got from Joao Almeida. So you wouldn't get that at the Visma bus, because they are much more sensible and still do COVID protocols, which is maybe because their rider didn't have COVID in June.
But
So
also Juan Ayuso has just gone home with COVID.
yeah, so you would think they'd be more, but that's not the way
Well,
they do things. They're
I
still
mean-
an Italian
I mean,
team at heart. It's
Wow,
more,
conspiracy hat.
Okay,
Was Ayuso killing the vibes?
maybe a little bit.
He is about
Because he
to kill.
kept riding for himself instead
Yes.
for the team.
And maybe because he had COVID and maybe wasn't up for,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if you're ill, you're ill.
Yeah.
Pidcock went,
Conspiracy hat on.
yeah.
Oh,
Third
we never took
conspiracy
them
hat.
off, so just to be clear.
Yeah.
So
No, but Ian has to
No,
put his
it's
on.
not.
Ian,
separate.
put yours on,
Yeah.
please. Thank you.
I still want
Maybe
to take
that's
his
why
off
the
or something.
vibes are so bad at Ineos. Just absolutely dire vibes.
Worse.
Dire
More.
vibes.
Because I think Tom Pidcock went home this morning.
Yeah.
Spot of Cove.
Geraint Thomas has a
Garrett
spot on the
Thomas,
cove.
Spot of Cove. Still in the race,
I think
though?
we maybe broke that story the other day.
Yeah,
we saw him put a mask on as he went into his room. Maybe it's because his teammate was ill, but maybe it's because he was ill. So,
Carlos
breaking
Rodriguez
news.
still riding well.
He is riding well.
Hopefully has his own room.
I think he would operate best in like just a team of one, where there's not all these other egos trying to batter him around, and just let the quiet Spanish man ride his bike really fast uphill. Like, instead of that big bus, which probably would intimidate him if he was on his own, you just get a little camper van, like he's on a Spanish pro team. I think he would like that. Like when Unchained, when we saw him like trying to move around his little apartment when the cameraman was in there with his big camera, and it was like, but he like seamlessly moved all the way through with his bike. He could do that on a camper van, no problem. He'd probably feel quite at home.
Like one of those little VW things. Pop top.
That would be even more fun. I'm thinking the classic like bike race camper.
Oh yeah, the ones that we get stuck behind
Where
everywhere.
Yeah, and the little window pops out the side.
If you are a bicycle tourist at the Tour de
Yeah,
France,
get out of the way.
driving in RV,
Move.
just know that we hate you. We hate every fiber of your being.
We love that you love the sport, but if you could just love it a bit more and stay on the mountain, and let
Or
us get
you
down.
could just love it a bit faster.
Yeah, just drive faster. This is the most cruel.
We have dinner to get to. We have podcasts to make. We're stuck behind.
It's cruel
your
and
RV.
self-indulgent. This
Oh,
little bit of the
absolutely.
podcast. But we had our conspiracy hats on, so and
Yeah.
then they-
Should we take them off?
Yeah, because
Okay,
Conspiracy hat off.
Okay.
conspiracy hat off.
Another thing about the bike race.
Yeah.
Do you know who is increasingly third?
Remco Evenepoel.
Yeah.
He was
has-
super third today.
He has
Was he super
supplanted
third?
Oh,
Geraint
he was
Thomas
so
as the
third.
most third person in the bike race.
He's gonna hate being the most third. No, actually, maybe not.
No, I think
because
he's happy to be.
I think he's
the most
happy,
third.
but
So
I don't
he's-
think he would like being just described as more third. Maybe.
But
I dunno.
there's
I think he got more third today.
yeah, he got more for third. Because he lost a place to Jonas Vingegaard. Vingegaard up into
So
second.
he became the most third he's been the
the
whole
most
race.
third he's been. Maybe we might.
But
need
on
to
the
fact
stage,
check
he
that.
was very third, wasn't he?
He was deeply third today, and he's also quite a way off being deeply fourth.
He is, and that's Joao Almeida.
6 minutes down, so he's got 4 minutes before he's fourth.
And he'll take like 2 minutes out of Almeida in the time trial.
I think the race for fourth is going to be good because you got three riders within 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes of each other.
One of which is Mikel Landa.
Well, it's three domestiques, Almeida, Landa, Yates, and then Carlos Rodriguez in the middle. It's going to be like F1 when the top things are sorted and finished, and then you're trying to... The interesting bit is like the battle for 7th or whatever.
Yeah.
Which I'm into. I want to see Mikel Landa freed. Freed in the way that actually works for him, where he's got a leader who's got the podium spot, but then he gets to go for like 4th. Because Mikel Landa being 4th makes sense.
We never really talked about how Landa was freed and then unfreed himself on purpose.
Well, because he sucked at being freed.
Yeah.
It's the freedom is too much. It's like when you first go to university and you can do whatever you want, and within 2 weeks you're just like, oh God, this is bad.
It's like if you've got a beautiful bird in a cage and then you open the door to the cage and the bird flies out, and if the bird comes back, then that means that it loves you and wants to be in the cage after all.
Do you want to talk about this, Iain?
I'm
Maybe
just
after
saying
dark?
that Mikel Landa is a beautiful bird.
He is a beautiful bird.
And he's returned to his cage.
His hair is also a bit mental. I've never seen hair quite like it.
Really?
I think so.
Run me through it.
She's very straight and stands up, but it was also short.
Does he look like his...
And his eyes are just big.
Oh, he's got enormous eyes.
Yeah.
A deeply soulful man.
And sorrowful.
Does he... He does have sad eyes.
He does have sad eyes.
Yeah. Does he... His hair... I don't often see his hair, but does it look a little bit like somebody has just come up behind him and rubbed a balloon really hard on his head?
Kind of. Yeah, kind of like not wire, like soft wire brush, like a paintbrush.
Oh, that's
sort
good.
of thing. Yeah.
I like that for him.
There's Mikel Landa fact. If you want a Mark Soler, if you want a Mark Soler fact, after dark. Today.
He also got a shout out from Pug today.
Did he?
Poggy.
I haven't seen much Mark Soler this race.
He just does a lot of pulling, 2 climbs to go. He's like the take the peloton from 75 to 30 rider.
I think I wouldn't enjoy that job. I think that's quite a dull job.
Yeah. Well, the problem with that job is that you then have to ride the whole rest of the way. So you get dropped and then you're just it's you're tired because you just did a big pull. And you still have to ride 50K. I guess same thing with Niels Pollitt. When Niels Pollitt's job is done today,
He'd been Gruppetto.
he still had 70K to go.
But then he's like a Gruppetto boy.
That's true.
And that's probably fine.
That's true.
Has some fun.
Yeah, but he's tired because he just pulled the whole time.
Yeah, but not
Whereas
as tired as
the
those
rest of the Gruppetto boys.
the slow boys.
Yeah, true. The rest of the Gruppetto boys have just been hanging out in the back the whole time.
Doesn't Binny entertain them?
He
What
doesn't
was it
entertain
again?
them, He encourages them.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, he rides up and says, "You're doing great."
That'd be so nice. Can you imagine?
What a sweetheart.
We've been failing to preview the next day's
We have
stage.
been, which is kind of fun because then you do it how I do it sometimes and just open the road book on the morning, like some of the riders apparently do.
Yeah.
And they just find out what's there. So this morning, looked up the profile. I was like, the Tourmalet today? That's fun. That's a big one.
I don't have any sort of map
It's Plateau de Bay.
or profile in front of me, but I do know, because I was looking at it earlier today, it's got multiple major climbs. It starts uphill.
I think I might do. One sec.
Starts
One
straight
sec.
up
We can
a
do this bit
damn hill.
over.
Let's pull the details.
Yeah, no,
Here we go.
here we go.
Oh, I don't have it. You
Do
got
I
it.
do this?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
Iain.
Iain. Oh,
You
that
have
is
the
a
map.
spiky profile.
It's spiky.
Yeah, but I'm not good at this, and you're really good at this. So I feel very...
Here, come on. Come on in. I'm shuffling over to Iain's seat. Here we
so
go.
we'll
Oh,
start.
bloody hell. Right, they're going to be warming up. They're going to be warming up on the rollers tomorrow because from the start we go uphill up the Perisord, 7 kilometers.
7.8%.
So
you.
we're in
No, I
a we're in
wanted
a
to do it in
valley
sync.
right now.
Oh,
I guess
My
to
bad.
sort of we didn't set the scene, but we're in a valley. We're in tomorrow's start town.
Yeah.
We're in Ludonvier.
Just for the listeners, Caley,
Yeah.
are they going up that one?
They're going up that one.
Oh,
that's the one I love. We'll talk
it's
about
the
that in
one-
After Dark
guys.
as well.
It's the one behind the
The big crane.
The big crane.
Lovely.
They're going up that one.
The Esco back crane.
They go up
okay.
that one first.
So we got that, then
Cat
all
one.
the way down. Then we're up the Col de Mont,
We're
Category 1.
we're right next to Spain right now.
right next to Spain. They're all in our way trying to get to this
Yeah, the
hotel
Spaniards
tonight.
were
Thanks a
everywhere
lot,
today.
Spain. Hope you get absolutely battered tomorrow. Then a category after those two category ones, the Portet d'Aspet. And then it's a huge valley floor all through Moulis, Saint-Giron, Lacour, Oust, and then up the Col d'Agnes, another Cat 1, 10 kilometres. Category 1 there, across, Port de l'Air's uncategorized. We're up to about 1,500 meters now altitude. And then another little valley floor, the Plateau de Bay, 15.7 kilometers, 7.8 ore category,
It's
Caley,
nasty.
Fretley, and Trelaw.
Finishing at 1782 meters over sea level.
Would you like to know where that is in relation to Durango?
Beautiful
Yes.
Durango.
Yes, and we'll be
then we're
right
doing
back
that.
after this message from visitdurango.com.
It's about the same as Durango.
About the same.
Yeah, it's almost exactly
But the
the
thing
same.
about Durango is
Yeah.
that there's so many more things that
Well,
the Plateau
the
de
thing
Bay
about
doesn't
Durango
have.
is that I live at that
Are you
level,
about
and
to
then we could go
introduce
even
you
higher.
living
You
there
could
as
go
a
even
selling-
higher.
I'm sure you can go higher here. You can rent a hot air balloon. You can do lots of things.
Do you know what Durango doesn't have that Plateau de Bay probably has?
Tell me.
Pavements/sidewalks.
True.
Kaylee, it's okay
Well,
to walk places.
we don't walk places.
Yeah, I know, but it's okay to. I'm telling you,
I
it's
would
okay.
I would have
You
thought
can.
you'd want the freedom to walk if you so
But we
choose.
just walk in the road. There's nobody around.
We literally every day there are people walking on the road at this Tour de France, and
We are
we all
furious.
rail against it and are just furious, despite it adding like 1 second to
But
our
in
journeys.
beautiful Colorado, it's so safe that you can walk on the road, Johnny.
We just
Apart
ride
from
our
the
bikes. We ride our bikes.
Yeah, fair enough. That was a good preview of
Or
tomorrow's
your
stage.
mobility scooters.
Tomorrow. So okay. Big question for like if you're playing fantasy, for example. Big question for tomorrow's stage is breakaway or no.
No,
And in general, I would have said yes, almost
No.
any other year, except for the fact that Pogačar seems to want to, like, I genuinely think he secretly wants Mark Cavendish's stage win
well,
record.
and he's doing the Mark Cavendish stage win record thing by denying that he wants it up
so
until he gets to the
he
bit,
accidentally brought it up today and was like, "Oh no, I didn't."
and then
mean to
someone
bring that
followed
up.
it up, didn't he?
Yeah, and then they were like, "Wait, so do you want it?" And he's like, "Nah, I just happened to mention 35."
We should
stage
write
wins."
about this because
Yeah.
it would make people a bit
That
cross.
was
Maybe
quite unconvincing.
It was very unconvincing.
he obviously wants it. He's
wants
so
it.
good. He's already legacy building.
Well, and
it's like
and
a Patrick
this gets
Mahomes
to-
type thing.
This gets to actually, so I keep teasing the story, but I haven't had time to write it because we had to write a giant story about carbon monoxide.
Which half people liked, half people hated. But
well,
we'll talk
no,
about that after dark.
90% plus of the people
Oh,
liked.
just all the people
and
who
then
signed
some
up for
very
the Reg
loud
Bull.
people didn't like.
Yeah.
Which is fine. You're allowed to be loud. That's, we're a membership-driven business. Give us your feedback.
Just might make Ronan a bit sad, and then the rest of us sad.
A little bit. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah.
Sorry.
So wow. Can I kudos myself?
Would be
Can,
arrogant
but I'll
too,
judge
but
you for
sure.
it.
Okay, I'm gonna do it anyway.
Oh no, you do deserve kudos for this because you.
So I
actually
mentioned
picked
this a
up on
couple days
fine.
ago. I was like, why is the narrative that Vingegaard is going to get better in the third week? Makes no sense. It's the opposite of what we said about Pogačar last year. Pogačar last year came in with it, yes, granted, much smaller injury, but like a time off of the bike at a similar time of the year. There is no logic to this. Like, I spoke to riders, I've spoken to coaches. Basically, everybody's like, normal? No, not happening. Now, they all have the caveat that, Vingegaard and Pogačar appear to not be particularly normal. And that if they were able to recover well enough through the tour, they could actually get better. But it still doesn't make a whole lot of sense, right? And I think that that's kind of what we're seeing now. And this narrative that built over the last week that he was going to ride into the tour, which never made any sense. I think that's what we're seeing the fallacy of that. We saw the fallacy of that today. Now, I'm still not saying it's impossible. Like I said, I think that these are very unique individuals. They have some crazy physiology going on to be where they are. It's not completely impossible, but all signs point to that not making a whole lot of sense. And I think that perspective essentially was validated today. And I wouldn't expect it flips in the next couple of days, to be perfectly honest.
Permission to temporarily put my conspiracy hat back on.
Yeah.
Is this maybe a plan of the Visma Bike employed Lanterne Rouge Industrial Complex, Patrick Bro and Benji Narson, trying to seed doubt through the media
Could be.
into the minds of... I mean, you see these billionaires in real life buying up media properties so they can try and control narratives.
It's true.
Would it be so crazy for a cycling team to hand a pretty decent YouTuber and podcaster a management role to then control the media in that way?
Johnny's spicy this evening.
Just saying. If I managed a team,
This perspective, which I think again is wrong and doesn't make any sense, did was mentioned, I believe, on their. I don't listen to their podcast, but this is what I was told.
Look,
We don't need to cast aspersions.
I'm just saying, look, chapeau. if this is how they've done it, because I think it's a great idea, and need more.
This feels like
more
After
beef.
Dark stuff to me, Jonny.
Yeah, we'll give them a taste of what they're missing.
Okay.
Conspiracy hat off.
Okay, conspiracy hat off. I think that's probably wrong.
Yeah, me too. But hey,
With
you
my
never know.
conspiracy hat off, I think that's probably wrong.
No, definitely wrong.
But yeah.
You never know.
Do your own research.
God.
Can I send you this link that I found super interesting and insightful?
Anyway, yeah, I think that I never understood that the idea that he was going to get better somehow. Because it just doesn't happen. Because
realize.
Everything we've ever heard about riding a Grand Tour is that it's more about who gets worse less versus who gets better.
Put it on a t-shirt.
Right? Like, it's who drops off the least in the last week.
Yeah.
Looks like they're better. But
Is that the
they're not.
durability thing?
Yeah, it's durability.
Yeah.
And like I said numerous times, durability is the thing that is the hardest to get back after a layoff. You can get back your 20-minute power relatively
It's
quickly.
the buzzword of 2024, isn't it? The new thing.
This durability thing, which I know that Ronan's going to be looking into like what does that actually mean in Performance Process, which is a podcast you should be listening to, and if you're a member, you'd be getting it.
Plug God.
You should do that. Because it's an interesting concept. It's one that's been around for a while, and well, it seems to be very much related to how good a pro cyclist is. Because I mean, you always hear about there's folks in your hometown that can do one climb almost as fast as these guys can, but can they do that 2.5 weeks in?
Can they do it on a cold Monday night I know rest days are Monday night, ruins it. Can they do it on a cold Sunday afternoon on Plateau de Bay? Should we move on to my sab legs? I feel like we need to leave some space for After Dark, and we've got a fair amount to cover today.
I just got a text message from Christophe Ramon, friend of the podcast, one of our favorite photographers. We're going to hear from some other favorite photographers later in the show as well. And this is a photo. He has captioned it "Banana Crew."
Oh no, this is bad.
This is bad.
This is bad.
I think I made contact with another person whilst eating a banana.
Oh, it was just too much
it's
for
just
the morning.
us eating bananas.
It's
It's a great photo. Christophe walked up today while we were hanging out this morning with EF's Matt Bowden, and he had given us bananas because we were hungry.
Iain's done the Andy Bernard, Dunder Mifflin adverts on the side of the highway sort of thing. If you know the reference, you'll understand.
Can I let people in on a little secret about Jonny?
I hate bananas.
Hates bananas.
Viscerally.
Really?
I actually, when you all cracked open your nans this morning, my nose curled and I sort of stepped away, and I might have even said a little, hate them. And Matt Bowden had
I've
the
eaten them in
grossest...
the car next to you. I didn't know this.
Yeah, well.
Can I tell you something pretty gross about banana? You'll hate it even more when I tell you what kind of fruit it is.
An apple of the earth?
It's a berry. It is a leathery berry.
I hate that. We're not on QI. Leave me be, Sandy Toxic. Matt Bowden had he unpeeled was a super gross banana. So even he said this is a gross banana, and he still ate it. The fucking maniac. Okay, wait. Before we get into this After Dark stuff.
Yeah, sorry. This is After Dark.
My Sablé.
Yep.
Got a new one. Got a text off my colleague Abby. Very upset. She was like, Tom's is going to sail past the hour mark. Tom Squeench, Little Trek, Abby's husband.
He has to get the break tomorrow.
He does.
And win.
Well,
and take time back.
He's 38th on GC, an hour 22 minutes.
So you need to take 22 minutes back.
Yeah, strange
no
things
problem. It's
happen.
unlikely.
Instead, we got Geraint Thomas also sailed past, Romain Bardet also sailed past, the King of France, Warren Barguil also sailed past, and your man, Tobias Halland Johannesson. Oh no, he moved up actually. Wow. Anyway.
He's good for a stage win tomorrow.
No, he's not.
Is he?
From a breakaway.
He's a bit...
It's going to be like a world-class climber that wins.
It's going to be like a tiny little man.
It's either going to be Tadej Pogačar or it's going to be like...
Lou Manches or Peo Babauta.
He finished second on a mountain stage last year and won
that mountain.
Prize on
a Durango level mountain.
No.
He won
the top is at Durango level.
No, from a breakaway. Like if he gets in a breakaway...
I mean, he's super strong.
He went over the top of the what was the one where the prize Henri Degrange?
Galibier?
Galibier. He got that prize last year and then held on to finish second on that stage.
Okay. Is this you doing some nice things for Uno X because you basically chucked them off to the side, unwanted this tour, to make room for your new bow, Total Energies? Are you feeling guilty?
I have a friend at Total Energies.
Do you go past Uno X and they're like, "Who's that perfume? Why does it smell so Total
Is that
Energy?"
lipstick on your collar?
Anyway, sorry, the new Maya Sablé. We didn't get.
What's the Petro on your collar?
We didn't get.
Gazole?
We didn't get any Tige Benut this morning because I chose to treat the Visma bus this morning how the riders usually treat us and just walk past pretending that it doesn't exist.
Yep.
Pretending
Couldn't
that they
do it
weren't
this morning.
cross-ashes.
Yeah, weren't very cross.
I nodded at Sander.
Did you? That's brave.
And he
Turns out I'm a
did not
coward.
nod
I'm a
back.
coward to the core.
I was the brave boy that went down to the Visma bus.
You were brave. I told you were brave. The thing is, we like to do these big serious stories, but then turns out afterwards I'm just a little craven babby. I'm like, oh no, they hate us.
I'll never have friends again.
Luke Maguire probably doesn't even listen to the pod anymore. He's probably so disappointed in us. We'll make up with him tomorrow. We said this the other day. We'll leave it a couple of days, let the whole thing cool off a bit, chill out, and then.
He seemed the least angry.
But I think maybe he thinks we've just betrayed a friendship.
Probably.
Which maybe we have, but look, this is
more
always
important
work
things to do.
first. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, the new Maya Sablé, U80 Emirates, Pavel Sivakov, 1 hour, 5 minutes, 16 seconds.
That's a good
Congrats.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
And
In his
maybe
home
we'll
tour.
test the temperature
Test the
tomorrow.
waters.
But I think if he's read the article or has been made aware of who we are, and then we start asking him stupid questions about made up jerseys, he's probably gonna be like, you know what, fuck you guys. and I wouldn't blame him. Have we got Giro stuff today?
We do.
Great.
Stage 7.
Great.
The Giro.
Perfectly
It's
poised for the
so-
final
It's
day.
so
Hell of a
tight.
race.
It's so tight.
It's, you know what? It's a
It
real...
was a double blockhouse today.
Was it?
Double block.
This is the shame, because this race would have been amazing to watch if we weren't all like got franced up in us.
Yep.
Where we're trying to figure out one bike race and then there's just no room for another one.
There's
It's just
no
a
room
real...
in our brains.
it's a
Luckily,
real
there's
shame.
room in Abby's brain.
Yeah.
Just
another one.
separately, double blockhouse. Sounds like an architectural nightmare.
It's, I was going to say it sounds like the move that these fans are using to throw other fans off the road.
Yeah, let's hear from Abby. And I do want to mention, because I got a note about this on Instagram, I think it was, or Threads, I can't remember. From I think it was Julian Allen Philippe. Actually, I never responded to you, Julian, but I know you listen to the pod, so this is me responding. I think I didn't have service at the time. Mentioned that he thought we were maybe doing a disservice to Wheel Talk to just run these little segments in here. That's not the intention. The intention is to, I don't know, pique your interest, right?
Well, now we split out the feeds and stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
so
bit
I guess
cross-pollination.
it's worth reminding everybody that there's a lot more good stuff coming from Abby and co. from Wheel Talk about the Giro. There will be a ton of good stuff that's coming from Tour de France Femme as well.
Vex Swift.
Of X Swift. Make sure you go subscribe to Wheel Talk. Search for it wherever you get your pods and listen to the whole episode. We only give you these little snippets in this pod because this pod is already long.
It's like a Café Gourmand where you get a little bit of the pudding.
Exactly.
The big one you could have had.
Yeah, go get the big pudding.
Not sure if Abby's going to like that.
Let's
bit.
hear from Abby.
And the GC is still only 1 second. Throughout the race, Kopecky has taken 28 bonus seconds. There was no bonus seconds on the intermediate sprints in the Giro, but by finishing on the podium, finishing second on the second stage, and then winning stage 5, and then today she took 6 bonus seconds. So she's taken 28 bonus seconds throughout the race, and she's 1 second off of Elise Longoborghini.
Yeah, I think Kopecky is still sprinting well, but maybe they were banking on the fact that there were still some really good sprinters and that maybe she'd run a second or a third, not take a stage win and take all the bonus seconds. But it makes you wonder now tomorrow, what's the game plan when you're leading the race? And on the flip side of that, what does SD Works Pro Time do? Because if Elisa and Kopecky come to the line again, you mentioned at the start of the podcast when we were offline that it's about a 700-meter sharp, pitchy finish, which could suit both, actually.
I wrote if you read the race reports on Escape Collective, at the end of every race report is my breakdown of the next stage, just to make things easy for readers. It's pretty much climbing from 16K to go, and then it just climbs that category 3, mostly gradual, and then dips, and then they do a cat 1 that tops out 66 kilometers into the stage, and then it's pretty much like a stair step descent. So it's like down, up, tiny bit, down, up, tiny bit, down, up, tiny bit, and then down and then flat, like the only flat of the entire stage. 13 kilometers to go. And then there's 2 tiny little pitches in the finale. Tiny poppy climb to the finish. So very Kopecky friendly finish there. And I think in a perfect world for Trek, like if they were to get, because there's no way that Elisa's going to be able to get away from Kopecky. At this point, they are too evenly matched. They are like, there's no way that Elisa's going to get away. So in a perfect world, they let a break go that is going to eat up those bonus seconds. And all Elisa has to do is stay with Kopecky on that final climb. She can't let Kopecky get away. Like, just absolutely glue herself to Kopecky's wheel. That's the only way that she's going to win this race. But SC Works has proved stronger at keeping a race together. And they will be the ones trying to get Kopecky to the line first to get those bonus seconds. So it is really, this is going to be a totally bonkers race, I think. I have no idea what to expect.
In the preview to this race, we did say how little Trek had, that we thought, the strongest team going into the race on paper. So for tomorrow's stage, to let a break go would be great. But I feel there's going to be so many people that want to be in that break tomorrow.
Well, there's one more stage left of the Giro, so we'll bring you one more of these little snippets from Abby. And again, make sure you're going and checking out the Wheel Talk podcast. It is fantastic. It's the best way to stay fully up to date on everything going on in the women's peloton. Let's hear from Jose Bain. Now, today's entry, we're going to have some different tunes on the way into it because the topic is
more somber than usual.
It's a little more somber. Yeah, Jose is gonna bring us a bit about Fabio Casartelli, who died on the Porte d'Aspet. So let's hear from Jose.
Stage 15 brings us to the Porte d'Aspet. It is the site where Fabio Casartelli lost his life in 1995. He's one of 3 riders who died during the race. Tom Simpson lost his life on the Mont Ventoux in 1967, and the third one is a Spanish rider called Francisco Cepeda who crashed in the Alps in 1935. There was a 4th rider, Adolphe Hillière. He drowned in 1910 while swimming in the sea in Nice on one of the rest days. Fabio Casartelli was 24 years young and an up-and-coming talent. He grew up near Como in the north of Italy. And when he found out that he could actually ride a bike really fast, cycling became his sport. His biggest win came in 1992, when he won the Olympic road race in Barcelona, beating Eric Decker. Davide Rebellin was also part of the Italian team that day. Casartelli turned pro with Ariostea in 1993, and a year later he rode with Gianni Savio's Seggi Mobili team. But in 1995 he joined the Motorola team and was selected for his second Tour de France. The year before, he had to abandon on stage 7. Fabio Casartelli crashed on a concrete block on the descent of the Porte d'Aspet. He hit his head, ended up in that fetal position we all remember from the television footage. He didn't wear a helmet like most of the peloton in those days. The Italian lost a lot of blood. He was transported by helicopter to Tarbes, where he died later that day after having suffered 4 cardiac arrests. Johan Museeuw, who crashed with Casartelli, heard at the finish line that he died. The podium ceremony was in full swing, celebrating the win of Richard Virange. It was a truly odd thing to celebrate a winner on that day. There are now 2 monuments on the Porte d'Aspet, the big one and a small plaque with the Olympic rings and his picture on the concrete shoulder at the actual site of the accident. The Italian artist of the big monument, Bruno Luzzani, wanted to symbolize eternal life. Quote, "It's a life's breath that soars towards the sky, as if Fabio continues to glide along the roads and climb the switchbacks of heaven." End quote. I read this on the website of the local memorial committee, Roue Libre Casartelli. The sundial indicates 3 important dates in his life: the date of birth, the date he died, and the day he became Olympic champion. Each year, a cyclosportive remembering Casartelli is organised. The members of the Roue Libre Casartelli in Saint-Giron, halfway into the stage today, work together with the Fondazione d'Albese from Casartelli's hometown in Italy. Riders from all over France, as well as from abroad, come together in remembrance as well as in solidarity, I read on the website. They forge bonds of friendship that everyone will strive to strengthen from year to year, so that we never forget Fabio Casartelli. The 28th edition is on the 8th of September this year, but the route does not include the Porte d'Aspet. Fabio Casartelli rests in the town that he grew up in Albese con Cassono. His grave only says Fabio. There's a picture of him in a suit, smiling, and that picture of him on the podium in Barcelona is a highlight of his career. His widow Annalisa told Rouleur, quote, "If you say Fabio Casartelli, most people will remember him as the cyclist who died in the Tour de France. It shouldn't be like that. Instead, if you say Casartelli, the first thing that should come to mind is the winner of the 1992 Olympic road race. But people remember calamity more than the good things." End quote. Sadly, this is true. So let's celebrate the young man who celebrated his biggest win in Barcelona. Remember the cyclist Fabio Casartelli, but also the husband, a son, a father, a teammate, and a friend who will forever hold a place in the heart of all who knew him.
You always need a bit of light and dark,
Oh yeah.
a bit of contrast.
I mean, I remember the tour where Casartelli died. I was like 8 or 7 or something like that, but I remember watching it on TV with my dad and like being kind of confused as what was happening, and the riders sort of lining up at the start, and bowed heads and things like that. I have some vague memories of that, and obviously an incredibly sad thing. And this summer, I mean, we've the sport has endured this once again.
Mhm.
So it's just, it's I guess a timely reminder that of the stakes of pro cycling, which is an incredibly dangerous sport.
Yep.
And some terrible, terrible things have happened in the past. So another reason why ASO and all the rest should be trying to keep things as safe as possible.
Mhm.
Let's
Before we head over to After Dark,
before.
a reminder, escapecollective.com/TDF. $1 for your first month.
Do
to
it.
Try it out.
Do it.
You get the extra bit of the podcast, like the bit, when we get a bit fun and silly and we talk about real things. No, unreal things.
Unreal.
There's more of that afterwards.
Surreal thing.
And I've come up, I think what we should start doing is just really trying to tap in mentally to some of these freeloaders out there who might just be listening because we have to put this on the free apps in order to,
It's true.
to reach the people.
Yep.
Iain, do you're quite a cerebral man. There's powers that you're in touch with from the other side. Maybe you want to not
The
necessarily.
other side?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I'm.
Have you not read some of his pieces? Try and summon up a name of someone who may be a bit of a freeloader and encourage them directly to sign
I'm
up.
feeling a W. I'm feeling 2 W's, I think.
A double W.
Double W.
wow.
Not double blockhouse, double W.
Wawa.
Not Wallace. Not Wawa.
Not Warren. No, not Warren Beggy.
Will Wright.
Yeah.
And I think he's from... Oh, I'm getting north of England.
Okay.
Manchester. Is there a Will Wright living in Manchester freeloading on this podcast?
There might be.
Huh.
Maybe.
It's just good stuff to think about, isn't it?
If that describes you, maybe consider signing up. And you never know, tomorrow, it could be you.
I was gonna say I don't. If I'm sitting there listening to this podcast, I'm like, how do they know who I am?
They don't want to know.
All
It's
right.
all algorithmic.
After dark.
After dark.
Ta-ra.
All right. Let's head into After Dark.
Ooh.